Hi, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Voice for Treasures from the Past. Um, I don't have my normal set behind me because I figured people are probably sick of seeing my garage. So I thought we'd go straight to the computer. So today I'm going to look at some handwriting comparisons on the lithograph with the signature Odilon Redon. Um, and if you haven't seen my previous videos, uh, there was an analysis performed on the signature and the title on the lithograph above that you see above compared to known Odilon Redon letters. Highly likely that it's from the same person, the same hand. So that's on another video. But I figured some people, or many people, I mean, it's a big deal. I do want to mention that I may seem like, this is cool, and I'm just blasé about this. I think I'm a little bit of shock, only because um, it's extremely important. This this particular lithograph, by signed by Odilon Redon, if accepted into his group of work, is as far as I've been able to find, would be the first unknown for many, many decades, if not ever, works. So that's it. Let's go ahead and jump into the details here. I want to show what ChatGPT AI architectural evaluation of uh, the letters or the handwriting, uh, so we could see it with our own eyes. Whether do you think it's wrong or do you think it's right? It's going to be pretty hard to say one way or the other with my little cross section here that it's wrong, and I'll show you why. But the I picked a section in Odilon Redon's signature that was had enough character, uh, but also it is somewhat legible more than so we could get some character and some comparison. So for those that may have seen that previous video, that oh great, it's strongly likely, highly likely, it's from the same with all the mathematics and such, and you know that it's the same hand. It's Odilon Redon that signed this lithograph up here. Um, so I want to be able to show that here in a small section of this is in his first name, and you'll see here. I'm going to use my pointer. Hope you can see that. Uh, these are from or 8 samples of his signature, of Odilon Redon's signature, and they're a section of the signature, which is the L. See if we're seeing that. Oh, wait a minute. So darn it. Let's see here. Okay, I don't know if you can see my pointer. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going, but the first letter, over here would be the L from left to right, then would be the O, and then would be the N. So Odilon, somewhat clear in most of his signatures, and so I want to utilize that to compare. Okay, so the first one uh, that we'll compare here is it's a portion of a signature off of Adverse Glory artwork, Art Institute of Chicago. It's 1886. So let's see if we can figure out what date might even look uh, closer, or what maybe we can pinpoint what year this was signed. So, all right. So this is 1886, and I'm going to try. Oh, by the way, I have not stretched angled or any kind of articulation of any of these images. I've only used the corners to proportionately size it so we can get the signature about the same size, the letters about the same size. So I haven't stretched, and I'm not going to stretch it because signatures can go out a little farther than this, and you'll see that. But I'm not going to try to stretch because that might, you know, alter, and I don't want to alter it. I'm just trying to show what I have here on this lithograph versus what we've got in the past signatures. Okay, but I am going to try to often line up the L, which is the letter all the way to the left. So here we go. I'm going to drop this one on the 1886. And let's see how close this one is. All right, I'm just going to do the transparency. That's a little bit. What's interesting is that the L and then the O sometimes is closed totally, sometimes it's down in a sharp V like you see there, but the points on which they start are very, 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 very similar. Uh, very consistent would be the proper word, I think. And so if I move that right to about there, so that wait, oh, I think I had that in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. Let's get back to that. Okay, and it is tough to, because again, I'm not trying to stretch it. So there we go. Now let's look at transparency. Stick with me to the end on this because I think you're going to be fascinated with the last one, the last couple. Okay, so now you can see uh, the N and where the O would be. It's very similar, but I think it's a different handwriting as far as different year. People tend to change their handwriting. Actually, if you compare many of these, which we'll do at the end, try to do it quickly. You'll see that his handwriting was, it moved around a bit. So you can see here that's pretty darn good right there. That's saying a lot. That's pretty good. So was ChatGPT AI evaluation of the architecture of this handwriting? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Pretty good. Now let's go down to the artwork Herbicide. Christie's auction. It's dated 1891. Okay, so let's go down here and let me see if I can get this situated here. All right, there we go. Something like here. This one's a little tougher. But again, if I stretched it because of the length of the signature, pardon me, uh, it may, I'd probably make it fit, but I don't want to try to do that because I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to manipulate it. So let's see what that one looks like. See if we can position it any better rather. Okay, so wow, that looks pretty darn good. So you got to imagine the O is that little V right there. So we go down here like this, we move it just about like that. Let's go back and see what it looks like. That's pretty good. Look at the points. Look at the points. Where the O, top 2 points are L from the left to right, first point, the second point. He didn't drop the O down. Boy, look at the starting of that N final. Sure lines up well. Then he transitioned into he transitions often into his R. So sometimes it's disconnected, sometimes it's not. All right, in his last name. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go to 1892. So a year later, this is Parsifal and Christie's again auction. I was able to get that little clip out of there. Let's go ahead. I'm going to lighten this up so you guys can see first where I'm putting it. So I'm trying to put the O over where the O is. Again, that O is a little bit farther straight down. But let's see what we got. Uh, looks pretty darn good. Could we move it to fit better? Possibly. Something in that area is my guess. I don't think, yeah, because I'm going right off the L to the O, and that L to the O is right there, right there. So let's go like that, and you can see the angles. Look at the angle of the L, even though there's a lot of his signatures are flat as a pancake, and then some are tall, you can see that angle is just spot on. So that's part of the identification piece. All right, so now let's look down here at Skiapode. Is that I believe I didn't date that on there, but I believe it's 1892 as well. So this one's hard. It was hard. It's very difficult to pull the image off of the picture. But so I want you to see the actual tail end of this, where he would be transitioning to his R. Now let's see what this looks like. Oh, struggling here with that. Sorry about that. There we go. Let's go down here. Okay, now it's working. Okay, so there's you can see now the lower left, you can see the signature for part of the signature from Skypold, I think that was 1892. And then we bring it up and you can see that, my goodness, the tail end of this signature is, so you have the you have the O here, and I think you're able to see this. I hope so on the video. Uh, the O is actually here. So when you pull that down, so that's the O, and that's the end. So, and you'll see this here in a moment. It may look like, oh, you don't even think, oh my, the number of points or mathematic points on this comparison is stunning, to say the least. Just at a this is a a glance, essentially, just a little tiny section, and there's a lot of his works to be able to compare. Okay, so here's 1894, and that would be, all right. So let's try to line up the L, which is here, with the L here, known. This, by the way, is from the Getty letters that were sent to me, verified, Odilon. Okay, so we have the L, and then we have this. So, while again, I could stretch this out, I don't think I'm going to do that. Just going to kind of place it in here. Let's see if we can see how close it is. Wow, those angles look perfect. The points look near perfect. Um, let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. Let's just move this one right about there. There we go. So it's a longer signature, but I think you'll see that it's pretty good. Um, Here's the O, and then he troughed it a little bit more right there, but then again, going to the end there, um, at the end, oh boy, you can't fake that one. And not that you can fake it, you can't. You can't make it so. I mean, it's like fingerprints at this point. What is what's being seen. Okay, so now let's go down to 1900. I'm going to make this get this going so you guys can, I know you can move through the video if you want. But this is a letter lot from 1900, dated 1900. Okay, I'm going to position the L over the L again. And actually, I'm just going to kind of put the O with the O. And this one is, eh, I mean, it's not his closest signature, but uh, it is. And again, this one, I think if I stretched, oh, horizontally, it might lay right onto it, but I'm not going to do that again because I don't want to think that somebody think that I'm trying to make it fit. I'm just trying to lay this on so you guys can see it. All right, and that one again, you could see the points here and here where the O is, and then the N at the end. You can see that little trough right there. There we go. Yeah. All right, now this is a postcard. There's a handful of postcards that can be viewed on different sites that were like postcards that Odilon was sending to course models and such. This is just a segment out of one. It didn't have a date, but I'm thinking I'm starting to think it was right in the first part of the 1900s, and I'll show you why. It's just kind of his or somewhere in the same time period, here and here, 1900, 1902. And here, let's take a look at that. Let's lay it over and see how well this one lays. Now, I am going to, because this one's kind of a fat pen, I'm going to enlarge this, but look here, I'm not skewing the dimensions. I'm just enlarging it. So I'm going to enlarge this and see if we can get this to fit over to the size of the image that I'm trying to compare it to. Uh, there we go. That's pretty close. Let's just leave it like that. All right, so let's see if that baby's close. Let's leave it like that for a minute and see if I can get it in there any closer. All right, yeah, pretty good. So the reason I think that this is around the 1900s is because they start to kind of change. Like it seems like his handwriting changes a little bit. It's more of a sharp dip here with the O that's not closed, and then a little jog out here. But again, if you see here, all right, that's Odilon. Okay, now last one. And this one, I just feel that he actually, Odilon, may have been signing. This was a letter to Bongers, uh, dated 1902, the little same section of the signature. And I think he was literally signing this letter when he finished and signed this lithograph. And I'll show you what. Is Let's take a look at this one. And if we're going to try to date it, let's see how close this one is. Okay, I'm going to shrink it just a bit because I enlarged it for this thing here. So let's go ahead and bring it down just a little bit. See, and again, I'm not skewing it. I'm just making the size a little different, so it can kind of proportionate to the size of the letters. Okay, so 1902. Let's see. So there's 1902. Let's see here. Oh boy. Well, it looks almost like you did that on the same day. Because I'll tell you what, that is a square on match to Odilon Redon's signature from 1902. So the lithograph that I acquired has all the hallmarks of being from Odilon Redon and is a 4 of 6 edition. It is titled Fraternité in French, which can mean brotherhood, which I think we kind of know. Uh, if you don't know, that's the Nabis group of artists, brotherhood kind of ties in. I'm not an expert on Odilon, but boy, have I spent a lot of time researching at this point. There is a symbol up there or a circle. It might be hard to see here, but in my other videos I covered in the magnification, it appears to be the moon or the sun, and these images or these figures are dancing under it. Of course, I can imagine um, the Nabis Brotherhood dancing under the symbolistic moon ritual or something. I don't say a ritual. One other note that I've come across, or one thing that I would like to note, is that the up here above the signature, and I've covered this in the magnification and in the other description of a couple other videos. Right up there, there's a what appears to be an R in a full circle or an O. Now, at the time when I first did those earlier videos, I thought, there's really not a whole lot. He doesn't do that too much. I've actually found a whole lot more that have the O and the R as a emblem, monogram, I think is what it's called. It, many of them are the O's a little bit smaller than the R, but overlapped, intersected. Uh, there is one that I mentioned in a previous video that is very small. I can't get a good image from the internet. I think it's in the Van Gogh or somewhere museum, but it looks like both of his initials, O and R, in an O. I don't know, but can't see that one. But the more I think about this and look at this up here, and that's in plate as opposed to the pencil or graphite signature, edition, and title. Uh, it just adds to it's just I as much as I personally want to be, uh, well, I mean, being objective and putting your head in the sand are two different things. You know, I've been somewhat putting my head in the sand, then overly objective, and then I think I've finally come to the conclusion that there's it's overwhelmingly plausible that this is an unknown Odilon Redon lithograph. And by the signature that we see right here, right in here, why not call it right at 1900, 1902, just when the Nabis Brotherhood was pre-wrapping up, I think, but I think they were pretty, anyway, I don't want to get into, I'm not an expert, but I've done as much as I can so far, research. Again, look at this signature from the lithograph to the letter to Andres Ongers, dated 1902, and if I were a betting person, I don't like betting. I like sure things here. That sure looks like a sure thing to me. So I don't know. I am okay. And finally, I'd just like to wrap this. It's probably too long already, but uh, I mentioned in kind of a haze in the last one of my last videos that, yeah, it looks like an Odilon Redon photograph, unknown. But I'm not going to do anything else with it. I'm just going to move on to the next video. So this is the next video was supposed to be something else. As the kind of the shock and the reality comes in, realizing that if this is brought into his body of work, and there's a name for it, I don't have it. Uh, it is one of the most important, at least for France. I mean, it's probably a national treasure kind of thing. So feel like all these forces against me, like not against me, but it's kind of the right thing to do. It should happen. It's got massive importance, value. I don't even want to think about it. Not even it's so. I'm going to continue to work on this. I'm going to finally reach out. I've been putting this out thinking I'd get somebody to say, hey, yeah, that does match. And yeah, it's been identified by the handwriting as an absolute strong, highly likely, blah, blah, blah. Not really. And I don't know if how many people are seeing it. And if they are, they might just be thinking, oh, heck, this guy, hand wrote this, whatever, whatever the reasoning is. Uh, I do know that it's not going away, and it is what it is. It's lasted these years. Now, I had said as well, I had made a comment that I'm not going to do anything else with it. And there were some scientific studies. Well, I'm not into throwing, I think I mentioned about a number. There's always scientific things you can do. Uh, doing things just because it might cost you a bunch of money or whatever, or research and this and that, or scientific tests. But at this point, knowing and seeing, hopefully with folks that watch this, your own eyes and my own eyes, that I'm coming to the realization, the real realization, not that, oh, cool, wow, this is, no, really, this is really in front, in my face here. And in that, the next steps are going to happen. I need to keep pushing with this or keep going with it. I am going to send this out to a handful of experts, mostly in France and Amsterdam, all over Germany, likely. And I'm going to see, what the next step should be. Because looking at this and the information, the scientific studies pieces that have been done, it it's signed by the guy. It's his. There's really no reason to say no unless there's other reasons, which you would be not logically. So logically, this is a work done by Odilon Redon, and it may have been. It looks like it's unknown. So that said, there's going to be more. I'm going to send out information, blast it out, direct, and I'm going to see what folks think. And then there are a few tests that can tell some more things about it. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that for now. And I will probably do those or do at least one of them to find out, just finally determine whether, what time frame and things like that. So again, thank you so much. Look at my last videos if you want to know more about this lithograph signed by Odilon Redon. And there will be more to come. I need to do a little bit of work on the reaching out to some folks, and hopefully we can get this, you know, get the answer to this, the final answer, here soon. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to get some comments. And thanks for watching, and talk to you soon.